Hello and welcome to Ready Bet Action. I am your host, Stefan Laco. Well, your host for today is Eric. Is not with us, but Mikey sure is. We are doing great. I'm just going to assume that is true for you as well, birthday boy.
It is now.
Absolutely. What Sweet 16? What's your favorite Sweet 16 memory?
Oh man, I don't even know. I'll be honest. I'll go back to Duke's championship,
Because you like
and
Duke, right?
yeah, and I was much more of a Duke fan in the Coach K days. Once he retired, it just kind of lost a little bit of that nostalgia for me. Which I don't. I mean, does that make me a Duke fan or a Coach K fan? I don't really know.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
But when they won the championship back in, what was it, 2011, I believe it was 2012. That was a fun year. Um, the Zion days. But yeah, we'll go
That's
there.
crazy. That's crazy that's that long ago because I still think
Yeah.
of Zion as being young in the league. I mean, he's still young, of course, but we have a great show for you today. We're going to go through our Sweet 16 favorite plays. Mikey, I'm going to throw you on the spot once more. Do you happen to know what our record is so far for the tournament, or is that going to take you a minute? While you're looking that up,
Not
my
off the top
favorite.
of my head, but I can pull it
Okay,
up real
well
quick. And I'm
we'll
also
get
going
that.
to correct myself. And Zion was not there in 11. He was there in
I was,
18. So
I was going to say
yeah,
I'm
you're
blind
you're
with the
right.
old.
But yeah, that
Um,
that championship run was a fun year.
Yeah. Well, let's get into these games because we start off with an absolute banger. Probably, you know what? My memory is terrible. I think this is the highest total, at least for the first day. We got BYU versus Alabama. BYU plus 5.5. The total is set at 175.5. I'm attacking this in a pretty specific way. I like the under overall, but I specifically get nervous about Alabama with that. So I'm just going to take BYU's team total under teased up to 90.5. So basically, we don't want them to score or did I say 89.5? I don't remember. But it's up there. It'll pop up on the
90,
screen here.
90 and a
Yeah,
half. Yeah.
90.5. I'm going to parlay that with something else, but that's going to be my first play in this game. I know they've hit this number 8 times this season, so it's not like they never do. And Alabama likes to roll. This is such a big game, Sweet 16. I could see it getting off to a slow start. Or sometimes the end of these games are so tight you just don't see much scoring. So I'm just going to bank on BYU not putting up 91 or more for the first part of my parlay here.
I like this play a lot, man. It's, Alabama's defense was really bad throughout the year, but it does feel like they kind of show up more in big games. And BYU just, I mean, like you said, they're not a heavy offensive team that's at 90 often. So I like this leg.
Yeah, we'll see if it hits. I mean, that's a whole nother story, but for now, we're going to roll with it. My other part of this parlay, I'm going to go ahead and take Florida just on the money line. Florida, to me, took what I think is going to be one of the biggest punches that's going to be thrown at them with that UConn game.
Yeah.
UConn was doing absolutely they were playing so well, so much better than they played just 2 nights earlier. Yet Florida was able to come back after a huge deficit and finish out that game. They play Maryland, a team that's been kind of up and down. I like Maryland, but they have every time I bet them, like I bet them against Michigan, they lost. Get them bet them against I forget who it was earlier this year. And just, I don't know, that's my own personal problem with them. They are a good squad. I just think Florida, I mean, spoiler alert, Florida's who I have winning it all in my bracket because I thought Cooper Flag was going to be injured. So I like this Florida team off a lot. I think they roll and win. So playing BYU team total under 90.5 plus Florida on the money line. And that's my first play. Why don't we hear your first play, Mikey? I think you have a play for us that's taking place right after that Florida game on Thursday, Arizona versus Duke. The line is 9.5. The total set at 153.5.
Yeah, I've got that. I also have Florida in a leg of a parlay. We'll get to that second leg there here in a bit, but I'm going to start with Duke team total over 81.5 versus Arizona. Their team total line, it creeps a little bit every week because they continue to just absolutely demolish this line. I know Eric made some money on this last week. But
I think
since
he had it at 77. Yeah, and it
yeah,
improved.
and now we're
Yeah.
up to 81 and a half. So they've hit this, or since September 14th, when Cooper Flag is healthy, they've scored 80 or more. Yeah, since February 14th. I can't talk. So they're rolling with this number here. They've been really hot in the tournament as well, scoring 89 and 91 points in the first two games. And this Arizona team, they like to push the pace a little bit, which is just good for overs. So I just think Duke keeps rolling. They're just playing really freaking good basketball. And so give me over 81 and a half team total minus 110.
I like that one an awful lot. I will be trailing. That is one that you'll want to get in sooner than later because the closer we get to tip off, that number's going
Yep.
up. Mikey, you mentioned that you have Florida on the money line as part of a parlay. Quickly tell me why you like Florida. And then I know the other half of that parlay is on Friday. So we're going to skip ahead to some Friday games as well. But talk to me a little bit about Florida first.
Florida's just really freaking good, man. They've won 8 straight going back to the regular season, and all 8 of those games have been against tournament teams, including beating Alabama twice. And I just think they have a level of depth in their roster that Maryland doesn't have. Maryland does rely on their starting 5 quite a bit, and you're kind of getting to the point of the season where you get worn down as that happens. So I think Florida's a better squad, better coach, better depth, and I think the better team wins here. No crazy statistics or anything.
I like it. I mean, I'm right there with you. So obviously
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. You mentioned that you have, or I mentioned that you have a play on the other side of that parlay that's taking place on Friday. Why don't you take us to that
Yeah.
Houston Purdue game?
Yeah, I'm also going to take Houston on the money line with Florida on the money line. That puts the parlay at minus 135. Houston's got Purdue. Purdue has looked good to this point. We've been big on Purdue to start the season, but they've also had a not so stressful road to get here against McNeese and High Point. And I just think Houston is just an entirely different level of team here. Houston's on average has scored 70 points per game, Purdue has, but Houston has the number 1 defense in the NCAA. Purdue's team total is set at just 62 and a half points. You're going to have to score well into the 70s, I think, to win this game. And I just don't think they're going to be built to do that against this defense. So, Houston money line, Florida money line.
I like that Houston play so much, in fact, that I am also playing it. I have it as part of a parlay as well. I just think Houston's defense is going to be able to shut them down.
Yep.
I think they will. I think Purdue will struggle to score, even though they've been really good shooting the ball. I think Houston just creates so many turnovers. I think that could be a huge factor as well. So I'm going to take Houston on the money line, and then I'm going to parlay that here with Michigan faces off Auburn. Auburn is a they opened 7.5, now up to 9.5 in some places like DraftKings. So this one is like a DraftKings specific. But I'm going to tease Michigan up to 13 and a half. So we're going to take Michigan plus 13 and a half against Auburn. I think Auburn's a very, very good team. I think Auburn is going to win this game, but I think Michigan can keep it within that huge number. Listen, we faded them last week to our own disgrace. Their backcourt is doing enough. They're not turning the ball over near as much as I thought they were going to. They look like they're playing really sound ball. So if they can keep it clean, not turn the ball over, I think they're able to shoot well enough to stick within this number. The only way this goes sideways is if they just get completely killed in that turnover game or second chance points. Those could be the areas that are difficult, but by and large, I think Michigan can keep this within 14.
I like this. I mean, I'm looking at Auburn's schedule right now, and they've had a lot of wins. They haven't had a ton of massive wins within that. Alabama State is kind of the outlier there, but 5 points against Tennessee. Yeah, 5 points against Tennessee, 7 points against Ole Miss, 2 points against Alabama. Like, these are close wins. And Michigan, to me, the way they're playing right now is right on par with the level of talent those other teams have. So I like this a lot.
You have one more play for us, right, Mikey?
Yeah. Going back to that Houston and Purdue game, I'm going Houston team total over 70 and a half. Houston, I mean, they're typically not a very dynamic offense. They really rely heavily on that defense because they're so dang good. But even with that, they're averaging 74 and a half points per game this season. Purdue did just hold McNeese and High Point to 62 and a half to start this tournament. But prior to that, they'd given up this number in 15 of their last 16 games. So as good as of a team as Houston is, I just kind of I don't think they steamroll it, but I don't think they struggle here. So over 70.5 feels rather easy to me against Purdue.
I like it. Those are all of our picks. Before we break them down, I just want to go through some of the other games that we don't have plays on. We've got Arkansas versus Texas Tech. Total at is at 148, and Texas Tech is favored by 5.5. I'm not touching this one. I I lean Arkansas just because I faded them the last 2 games and lost both of those. So I plus 5.5 seems like a good number, but it's not a bet for me. Where are you on this one?
I'll play it personally. I'm not going to make it a show bet though. Arkansas they just seem to be gelling as a team really freaking good right now. And once you get just that level of performance as a team, it's hard to really blow anybody out, even if they do lose the game. So I lean that way, but it's a small lean.
Yeah. Then on Friday, we start off with the game Ole Miss versus Michigan State. 3.5. Michigan State favored by 3.5 to line at 143.5. I lean Michigan State on the money line, but I'm not 100% sure because Ole Miss is real damn good. So I'm not touching this one.
I'm not touching it either. I've wanted to fade Ole Miss in every game this season, and they've kind of proven me wrong every game. So I'm just staying off of it entirely.
So this next one that we haven't talked about yet, Tennessee versus Kentucky. Kentucky, I'm pretty sure won both the matchups.
Yep.
This year that they played. Yet Tennessee 4.5-point favorite. The total is at 144.5. Oh, I lean under this one just because it's like they've played each other so many times. I just kind of think that it could be a defensive slugfest.
Yep.
I lean Tennessee, but it's like, how do you bet a team that continues to lose to this team? But then again, like we've talked about in football, like it's hard to beat the same team over and over and over again.
It's really hard to beat a team twice, let alone 3 times. And that's the only reason why I lean Tennessee here.
But yeah, I'm probably, once it gets to tip off, I'm sure I'll do a Michigan State Tennessee parlay.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
That's good. All right. We are at the part of the show where we're going to break it down. Before we do, though, please don't forget to follow us everywhere where you get your podcast. Download, subscribe. Please leave a rating and review. It only takes a second. Just hit that 5-star. Leave us a comment. Tell us what we can do better. Tell us what you love. Follow us on all the socials and on YouTube, of course. All right, Mikey, break it down with your your all 3 picks.
Yeah, I'm also going to interject here. We talked at the start of the show about our record. We are 21-17 as a show for the tournament. So
all right, that's pretty decent. We're up 1 unit.
We're up a little bit. So let's just keep making some money here. So I'm going to go Duke team total over 81.5 at -110. Give me a parlay of Florida on the money line with Houston on the money line at -135. And then give me the Houston team total over 70.5 at -110.
Love it. All right. I'm going to take BYU under 90.5 team total, parlayed with Florida on the money line at -119. And then I'm going to take Houston on the money line, parlayed with Michigan plus 13.5 at -128. Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, we're Ready Bet Action. We will be back with you for the Elite Eight and maybe some soccer picks too, if you're lucky. Thank you guys so much for listening.